So I'm Alissa Black, the director of the California Civic Innovation Project, which is within the Open Technology Institute at the New America Foundation. We launched just about a year ago, so we just had our one-year anniversary, and we were able to launch with funding from the James Irvine Foundation. So today I thought I would tell you a little bit about the kind of experiment. We think of ourselves as an evolving experiment in trying to be instigators to local government from the outside. At CCIP, we're creating more responsive and adaptive local governments through the adoption of innovative technologies, policies, and practices within City Hall. And this is important to us because only about 12 to 20% of eligible voters vote in local elections. And so that's a very small percentage of the community's voice that's heard by political electeds and reflected in policymaking. And that excludes youth voice, and it excludes undocumented residents. And so we're really interested in changing that dynamic of participation from passive residents with poor pathways to government to a more open and collaborative government that reflects the needs and desires of the whole community. We believe innovation within government is a process by which ideas can be tested and new ways of thinking can be pursued. And ultimately, increasing this innovation capacity of local governments will allow and enable governance models that are more agile and adaptive, that allow for our governments to change as our communities and our cities change. So what exactly does CCIP do? The fairy dust that we sprinkle throughout California are answering questions and prototyping our recommendations. So we're trying to figure out what barriers there are to innovation within government, mostly at the local level and within California, and how they can be reduced. So that we, in our practice, and so that others can make government, that want to make government better, have a clear understanding of the obstacles and their causes. In addition to research and answering questions about innovation, we also prototype innovative technologies, policies, and practices by partnering with local governments. And I'll give you a couple examples of what I mean by that. So we recently conducted a study about knowledge sharing, and the report basically looks at how city and county administrators in California adopt new approaches and the process by which they learn about potential solutions. So how does information, if something's working in one city, spread throughout to other cities? And one of our key findings, and then also we looked at why cities adopt new approaches. So what are their motivations and drivers behind that? One of our key findings, which is interesting, is that city administrators have a very different notion of what innovation means. Often they're thinking, because at the administrative level, they're thinking about managerial and organizational changes, not about truly new programs that are public-facing, which is what most of us think about when we think about, innovative solutions. And that their desire to reduce costs and increase organizational efficiency is the most significant motivation for innovation. So if we want to sell change in local government, we need to talk in terms of and think about what that value proposition is to them in terms of cost savings and efficiencies. We're continuing to explore. We'll continue to conduct additional studies, whether through primary research or through looking at examples and conversations with local governments. But we're really interested in how innovation happens in government, identifying those barriers and enablers, and then make policy recommendations that we can then prototype in cities. And so this is one of our partnerships with the City of Oakland, which is just across the bay from San Francisco. And we supported their proposal to the Mayor's Bloomberg Challenge. And the idea of City Lab was this concept of, sorry, I'm talking really fast, an experimental collaborative workspace where government staff from various departments could co-work, share their skills with one another, and ultimately break down the physical silos within City Hall. So the idea was that they're bumping elbows with each other and sharing ideas. And the idea for this ground floor city labs was not funded through the Bloomberg Foundation, through the grant, but the city continues to think about ways that they can promote that project. From our partnerships with cities, we've learned a lot. And kind of the most pressing thing that we've learned is that cities need or have limited capacity to innovate. So there's this limited capacity. So we're thinking of what we can do to improve that. And one of the things that we're looking at is a training program for leaders within City Hall that to help generate ideas so that leaders are equipped with the tools for supporting employees to generate ideas, which can develop them into experiments, and then advance them into successful projects. And the last thing I'll just show you pictures really quickly about participatory budgeting. we kind of jumped onto this experiment, and I'll talk to you more about it later throughout the day. Thank you.